All right, EA Ermor turned 17. We can see that Atlantis is doing decently well. They've gotten a relatively early throne claim, so that's cool for them. And then, yeah, the glories of a rainbow pretender. So we found a dying forest, which is kind of, probably good news, I'd say, because I think we still get death gems out of this. This is what is causing some of the death scales that we've been seeing. It's definitely better than a Well of Pestilence. In fact, you know what? What does it? I think it gives us a nature gem too. Yeah, so definitely better than a Well of Pestilence. So that's cool. It's sad that we only found, the one site, but we're going to continue searching with them. Rainbow Pretenders are really good at finding magic sites, and I love site searching with them. I think some people feel like it can be a bit of a waste because, Pretender turns are really valuable. But you should try it at least once. It's a lot of fun. And then, some events, they're not going to be good. Some famine, that's fine. This ancient ruin, I think, we could send a mage or an adventurer and it triggers like an assassination attempt. You might get an item out of it. I don't think I'd bother. It's kind of fine. And then, people are disappearing. Who knows? And then, the Throne of Life. So some people have gotten younger, which is actually kind of nice for us. We have a lot of old men. And then the Throne of Fortune. This is definitely really good for us since, we're, two misfortune, 3 misfortune? We have plenty of misfortune, so a little worldwide luck, that is nice. And then, of course, we cure stuff. So let's see what we're up to. So, the main thing is we are going for this throne. So not a super complicated plan. We're just going to have, our legionary infantry fire their javelins, hold up the Ko-Oni. We've got a decent number of priests in here. We have our prophet, right? It's going to bless all of our sacreds. Our sacreds are going to just attack rear, right? Trying to get in and mess up the casters so they don't make too many skeletons. But we're in decent shape, right? We have 3 level 2 priests and our prophet, so that's going to help a lot in terms of eliminating skeletons, and it's also going to help banish the Ko-Oni and their demon forms. Not expecting too much trouble. We also just have our militia here. I probably shouldn't have even brought them, but anyway, they're just going to hang out in the back. That I think will go fine. There's not too many defenders here, and the mages that we saw aren't like super scary. We did get a scout on top of Agartha's capital, and he has a decent amount of stuff. I'm not sure how good the cavern guards are. Magma children are kind of nasty, although we do have fire resistance, so that'll help a little bit. And then, engravers, I think, are pretty good mages, sort of researchery types. And then, he's got some of his, bigger casters, cap-only casters there. But, nothing too scary. Also doesn't look, we've talked about how he doesn't look too big. But, especially now, it looks like, Hellheim is kind of pushing in to areas where he might have expanded. I'm not sure if they're fighting or not, haven't caught any battles or anything like that. Agartha's looking pretty small. Still looking like an appealing target. And then we saw this. Looks like, I'm not the only person who took a little misfortune or, possibly some actual bad luck. You can still have bad events happen, even, with neutral scales, even with luck. Niflheim's capital is under siege by independents. So we're interested to see what he does to remove that. And then, just continuing to push scouts out and continuing to do some site searching, right? Moving our pretender around for more site searching, a few other guys running around site searching. And then, of course, always recruiting cavalry, Holy Point Limited. Getting another Holy 3. I like to have a backup Holy 3, especially, I'm focusing somewhat on my sacreds, so it just makes life a lot easier to bless them up. Obviously, we have our prophet, but, you never know when they're going to die. I like to just have a backup Holy 3 running around if I can, but kind of a questionable decision. And we are still working on our palisade here. 2 more months. Our infrastructure situation isn't fantastic. It's turn 17 and we're bringing up a second fort. But considering how it's gone for me personally in the past, feeling pretty good about infrastructure. And then, of course, it's such a tight map, as you've talked about. So it was forced into kind of an early war. It can be just kind of challenging to get up a lot of infrastructure quickly in these cramped conditions. Overall going pretty well on that front. And I think that covers turn 17. All right, EA Ermor, turn 18. We finished quite a bit of research. So we got Conjuration 3, so we have access to the baby elementals, which is, just kind of a nice defensive measure. Fire elementals is mostly what we can do. And then thaumaturgy, always important. When you're a communion nation, you want to get that thaumaturgy 1 so you can actually form communions. And then, we're starting on enchantment. This will get us, a couple of things. We're looking at Twiceborn for our augur elders to help reduce upkeep and just make them, better, more survivable, useful chassis. And then we can also make a lot of skeletons, right, as somebody that has a lot of death, and Horde of Skeletons is, down enchantment. And then also we benefit from flaming arrows, right, both from our javelins and our slingers. So that's at enchantment 4. So we're probably going to go enchantment 4 or 5, somewhere around there. So yeah, that's what we're working on research-wise. And then Agartha does actually get a throne claim, Throne of Bureaucracy, which, you lose money for that, but it really pushes your dominion hard. So it, kind of depends. Not the best throne, I would say. But nonetheless, always nice to get a throne, so that is good for them. And then, of course, speaking of thrones, right, here's our battle. And yeah, not a whole lot here. Coney can be a little scary. Like, there are a decent amount of mages here, and they can maybe make some. They're not even making that many skeletons. So yeah, I think we're gonna more or less crush this. There goes our cavalry into the back. And of course, this is one downside, right, of sending the cavalry right in. Our infantry kind of do, like, nothing. So a lot of times you kind of want to hold with the cavalry to give your infantry time to throw their javelins, because that takes a second. But in this case, just wanted to get in there and clean out those mages. So that's totally fine. I'm not sure. We probably lost. Nope, we didn't lose anything. So yeah, we rolled over that throne, but that was a pretty easy throne, so no great achievement. And then we see Niflheim clearing out Indies on top of their capital, and I'm pretty sure we've seen their blast before, but just in case we haven't, what are they up against? Oh yeah, a bunch of werewolves. Yeah, I don't know. Werewolves kind of suck in Dominions, just like the vanilla, because like these guys get scrotty that can turn into werewolves, and they're pretty good, but just like the regular werewolves, I don't know, they kind of underperform. Anyway, the bless, so regeneration, of course, and then a good amount of magic resistance. Interesting on the defense skill, and then fire shock, definitely solid. Undying +6, which is cool. That's an extra 12 hit points. These guys have a ton of hit points, which stacks really well, of course, with regeneration. And then, affliction resistance 3, which, I mean, like, with the regeneration, I feel like affliction resistance is kind of one of those ones that is taken less often, and a lot of people feel like isn't as good. But, on these Nifl giants, on like really valuable sacreds, and a lot of his mages are sacreds, and Niflheim can do a lot of thugging stuff, and afflictions like really sucks on like those really valuable units. So like combining regeneration means you take less afflictions as well. Yeah, these werewolves are totally screwed, by the way, so we can just speed this up. They don't have any cold resistance, and like I said, they kind of suck. But anyway, with the regeneration, which reduces the chance of taking afflictions, plus, additional affliction reduction, it's going to be really hard to get afflictions on those guys. So maybe a good pick in this case, definitely interesting. And then, we have some... First famine, then plague, whatever. And then some fire gems, and we lose some dominion, and there's some unrest. I mean, that's the price you pay for taking misfortune. And then Kaelasa, sadly vanquished. I like his pretender name, Enlightened George. But he is gone. Not really sure what happened there. I know the monkeys were pretty busy early on this game. There's some discussion about it. But goodbye, Kaelasa. So what are we up to this turn? Not too much again. Continuing our site searching, of course. We're cutting a lot of production because we're building a lab here. We'll have our palisade next month. We're moving out the majority of the army, and they'll probably move down to cover the fort construction. Not that we really need to, but this is going to be our springboard for invading Agartha. Definitely by this point, I was pretty convinced that Agartha is who I want to go for, especially because they have a throne. Like I said, Throne of Bureaucracy is not the best throne, but you do need thrones to win. And there's we've talked about why they're an attractive target. Otherwise, we are leaving behind our prophet to claim the throne, and we got pretty lucky. Golden Throne, I feel like, is one of the better thrones, so this gives gold instead of, taking gold away from you. And then also we get this mage to recruit, which for us is like less exciting, I feel like, than for, you know, a lot of nations. So fire and astral, which we have pretty well covered. And then, you know, he can get earth, right? And that is something that we can't super easily get into our communions, though we do have a way to do it. So like this earth is kind of the most exciting thing. You know, we can get air into our communions already, so that's not really too exciting. And then like if they get, you know, like fire 3, not exciting for us. Astral 3 is kind of cool, because, you know, I've talked about how we get a lot of astral access, but it's not very high. But, you know, it's only going to be 25% of these guys, and they are decently expensive, and they're not sacred, which is true of our mages, our national mages. You know, and like, yeah, they're good. These guys are good mages. They are slow to recruit, so, you know, it's kind of sad. But yeah, I feel like for early age Ermor, this mage is less exciting than it normally would be. But, you know, this is still a good throne. It's still cool to have. So yeah, so we're claiming that. We will build a fort here eventually, but, you know, yeah, money. Always the money problems. And then, of course, yeah, the siege of Arcocephali continues. You can see that Abysia is having a bit of a hard time, like, breaking down the walls. Arcocephali does get a castle, right, as they're starting, so they're starting fortress. So the extra wall integrity, and then, of course, Abysia is mainly using their sacreds, and, you know, small stacks of sacreds that have a good bless, you know, do well in battle, but don't do so well knocking down walls. Of course, you know, he's brought in a bunch of militia and some slingers, so they're working on it, but yeah, it's taking a second. Definitely something to consider, you know, if you're who you're attacking for your early war. You know, if they have a really powerful fortress that you're gonna have to knock down, it's gonna tie you up for a second. Agartha luckily does not. Yeah, just 250, although they are in a cave, and that can be a problem. So yeah, otherwise, I don't think anything too interesting. We see Saromacia up here, who looks, you know, decently large. Yomi is, you know, somebody else that's bordering Niflheim. You know, we've seen, where is Russ's capital? Yeah, right here. So we don't know too much about Russ yet. It looks like Jabalba is decently big, right? This is their capital. They have another fort up. You know, they have like a decent amount of territory. And then, yeah, you know, Abysia seems like they're doing decently well as well. And then, yeah, we've seen the elves. It looks like Hellheim is, like, you know, decently large, you know, at least to the north here. So, you know, we're still trying to scout around and see what else is going on. But yeah, I think that kind of covers the interesting points. So that's turn 18. All right, EA Ermor, turn 19, continuing our research in Enchantment. And then there's our throne. Always nice to, you know, see our prophet and our god up there. And then, yeah, we actually had decent luck site searching. So we found Well of Pestilence, which, you know, can be kind of a bad site, but we really want death gems. So on the balance, it's a good thing for us. And then we found a Hidden Valley, which is nice. That's 2 gems, a nature and an earth, which is, yeah, those are both gem types that can be a little harder for early age Ermor to get their hands on. So that's a cool one. An Enchanted Field, I think that's the one that doesn't give us any gems. So that is sad. We'll double check that. We might be a nature gem. And then sadly our Pretender missed, which, you know, it happens even with rainbows. And then, hey, wow, 10 nature gems. That's pretty lucky considering our events. Although, you know, Throne of Fortune is out there, so maybe it's related. And then we caught a battle where the Independents are attacking Russ, which, you know, is just some barbarians, as happens. Isn't super interesting, although we do get to see Russ's Bless. I'm not sure if we've seen this before, but yeah, it's pretty hefty. So, you know, Undying +6, which I've talked about, is nice with the, you know, double form, so they kind of get it twice. Fire Shield, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, I feel like Russ's sacreds aren't necessarily super killy, right? And, you know, they're size 3. I don't think he's gone. Oh no, he has gone larger. So yeah. You know, when they're size 2, they get okay attack density, but they only have the 1 attack, which is very high damaging. But yeah, they kind of struggle to kill kind of hordes of units. So I think the Fire Shield really helps there, you know, especially since he's enlarged them, right? Their attack density is even worse. So yeah, Fire Shield with larger, yeah, maybe. And then Blood Vengeance is nice, right? So that's going to deal damage to attackers, right? That deal damage to you. And since, you know, these are fairly tanky sacreds, you know, with 2 forms and the Undying, they're going to take a lot of hits, so they're going to deal a lot of Blood Vengeance damage, you know, out to their attackers. And some magic resistance, which, you know, is always nice, and I think he gets a decent amount of sacred mages as well. I think some of Russ's commanders and mages can, you know, thug a bit. And so, yeah, and so anyway, I think, you know, ooh, that's kind of freaky. Okay. it does work out for them. Yeah, barbarians, they're not going to be able to take on those sacreds. So yeah, kind of interesting. Rest definitely invested in a bless, which is, makes sense for this kind of game. And then our palisade finished this turn. So yeah, let's see what we're up to. And yeah, the main thing is we're pretty much massing everything together for an attack on Agartha. It's pretty much, everything that we've seen already, right, that attacked the throne, with just, some additional reinforcements, like more of the same, basically. Our pretenders just happens to be there. He's going to be doing site searching. Otherwise, most of this movement is just, site searching. It is a little interesting. It looks like and Jabalba are fighting. So, we're moving a scout in to, try to catch some of that. And then otherwise, there is a neutral throne here on the border between Yomi and Niflheim, and, continuing to kind of just push scouts around. I think this ends up being Ubar, right? Anytime you see a bunch of neutral flags, especially late like this, it's usually one of those ones, one of those factions that's hiding their flag type. So, that's kind of interesting. And then, just, continuing to push our scouts deeper into Agartha's territory, searching for other infrastructure and, things that we might want to go for, trying to see maybe he has a fort on this throne. And we've had to cut most of our recruitment this turn. We are upgrading this palisade into a fortress. Actually, I think we started that last turn, so I'm not sure where our money is going this turn. We are getting at least one Augur Elder. Right, and these guys, they're not crazy expensive, 210, but they're not cheap either. And then of course our upkeep is we're getting some slingers, just to help break down the walls. And if we do get flaming arrows researched, they'll help with that. And then it looks like the fortress at Arcocephali is cracked, so we'll probably be seeing a storm there relatively soon. And I think that covers turn 19. All right, EA Ermor, turn 20, kind of a quieter one for us. The big thing that's going on is we're catching Abyssia, assaulting Arcocephali's capital, and there's not too much left in here, just some chariot archers, which I don't particularly love, and some chariots, which are not bad. I think I prefer the chariots. They're decent tramplers, size 4. Do you think they'll be able to trample these burning ones? Yeah, these guys are size 3, but it's not going to be great. And what the bless these guys have, Barkskin and Blood Bond, and then they're already berserkers. I think they're going to be fine, and the fire shield and everything. And there's just a couple of Wind Riders left. Nobody even really to bless them. I don't love the long line when you're assaulting a fortress, but I think in this case it's not really going to matter. And then of course the burning ones, they're actually bad formation fighters. So normally you'd be able to fit two burning ones in a square, right, at size 3. But because of that tag, they actually only fit one to a square. So they kind of extra don't like trying to jam through this gap. Maybe larger would be decent on these guys, since it kind of doesn't matter. I guess then they wouldn't be able to have size 2 troops mixed in with their square. But of course, there's just nothing here really to oppose them. So they come away with it with probably no losses. Oh, 1 loss. That's sad. Wonder who got the kill. That's interesting. I don't know how that guy died, but somehow he lost a burning one. But that's totally acceptable to take a capital. And of course, Arcocephali has been eliminated. And then we have some unexpected events, finding more nature gems. That is really nice. And then bad tax harvest, not so nice. And some famine, it's fine. So what are we up to this turn? Pretty much just attacking Agartha, right? So we have everything coming in. We've kind of talked about it. There's all the normal stuff. We have some slingers out in front now. No mage support really. Which, we don't have a whole lot to cast yet, right? We can, spam out, the baby fire elementals, which will chew up a lot of fire gems, which is not great. And then otherwise, we can communion, but then, there's not a whole lot we can do with, that communion yet. And then we're not quite to flaming arrows. It's going to be a few turns. And then you can see we're being greedy and going for construction next for the lightless lanterns. So we'll see about that. But yeah, we just don't have a whole lot for our mages to do, and hoping that our sacreds can kind of carry the day here, and that we're not gonna have to pull off a bunch of mages and lose a bunch of research to win this war. So we'll see. Our research is not great, but it's not bad either. And we have a decent amount of guys out site searching, so our research will improve a little later. Our attack is, we're not hitting a lot of provinces, right? I definitely could have done a better job. We probably don't need all of this stuff here. We could split out, a few of our, legionary troops to, maybe hit this province, and ideally, hit this province. It's a little rough because, there's a lot of mountain passes, so moving through here is pretty slow and difficult, and especially coming into winter, a lot of these passes are going to close or are already closed. So hitting these provinces is kind of challenging. We are trying to do that, right? That's what this commander is doing. He's going to pick up. We have, I think, some Bone Tribe here. Yeah, so we recruited, we're going to have 9 Bone Tribe, right? Yeah, which is, not an amazing rating group, but should be able to take on 6 PD in a lot of places, and certainly if you just did 1 PD, it'll take that. So it's not we're only doom stacking, but mostly just doom stacking. But I do think in this case it's a little more forgivable. We have a fairly narrow border, and Agartha doesn't really have any other infrastructure, and it's just 1, 2, and we're on top of their capital, and then hopefully that'll be it. And then after we win on top of their capital, then we can split forces out, to quickly take a bunch of their provinces. So not my best attack, but considering the short distance to the capital and the situation, I think it's fine. And then it looks like this fort is cracked, so is at least pushing. This looks like probably their pretender here, right? So they have a Titan that was either awake or dormant. So it should be kind of interesting. We're just parked. We want to see what's going on there, and then we see Oceania down here. In the water. In fact, this is their capital, right? So that's going to be a bit of a hassle, I think, for Niflheim, especially since their capital's right here. And I think Niflheim's capital, is here. So there's actually not a whole lot of distance, between Oceania's capital and Niflheim's. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure Oceania has it's a big lake. They have plenty of other things to be doing. I don't think Oceania particularly needs a coastal presence, but they also do okay on land. They're similar to Pangaea, so they have fairly powerful sacreds and decent troops. And then to the south we found Hellheim's capital, so it looks like probably these guys are fighting Agartha and Hellheim, and probably also early age Ulm, right, since there's a couple of cap circle provinces under other people's control, and it actually looks like Hellheim is maybe not doing yes, they have raided all the way up here, but I mean, considering that they're probably fighting at least 2 people, and some of their cap circle has been taken, they aren't looking especially big in this other direction. I'd say Hellheim is probably in trouble here. And then we found Satis proper, right? So not a huge deal, but kind of interesting. We also see Macone's flag down here, so they might be involved in this war against Hellheim, not sure. But I think that more or less covers our scouting, and I think that covers turn 20.